I'm Tanya, and I'm part of the CoLab's funding circle.
I'm Kate Swatridge, and I'm the Monitoring, Evaluation and Learning Officer for the Next Steps project.
I'm Nenad Maljković, based in Zagreb, Croatia. I am part of a team that is taking care of our communication platform.
My name is Jo, part of a couple of circles/projects within CoLab. Co-founded Minimum Viable Academy as a part of the CoLab training program that delivers workshops and facilitation. One of the Emergent Festival coordinators. On the Welcome and Gardening team, where I'm the administrator and predominantly care about the gardening piece of that Welcome Gardening.
Any CoLab member can express their interest in joining the circle, and they can make time for smaller reoccurring contributions or larger contributions. So currently, several CoLab members are sharing other funding opportunities that they find, and they do this in the funding circle channel. Long-term and more formal engagement is also possible with the funding circle, such as becoming a funding circle member and bringing in special skills to advance the circle's development. So for example, I am a funding specialist within the funding circle. So I make funding opportunities known to our audience. I also work with the CoLab and its members to help them apply for funding to carry on their work. So the funding circle so far has done careful work creating and tuning its offering, and this was done this year primarily. And in near future, we can benefit from long-term contributors who can bring this offering to a wider audience. So we make decisions both in consultation with one another and also collaboratively. So whenever we look to introduce something new or make a major change, we notify each other on that change and we ask for feedback. If changes are needed, we first agreed on those changes in writing, and then we might also use phone calls to work on the details. But we always have a final version of what we have agreed to in writing between the both of us. The funding circle has an active ongoing relationship with the digital circle through the software that it utilizes. The funding opportunities database was shifted from Mattermost to Base Row due to ongoing technical issues and limitations with the software. So since Base Row functionality was expanded to accommodate more work areas within the funding circle, the digital circle was involved in software choice and also in setup. And the funding circle has a dedicated software budget, which it shares with the digital circle to maintain this part of the digital infrastructure.
The Next Steps project is a funded community project which is delivered by different groups and individual roles working together to ensure successful collaborations and delivery of the project objectives. The community accountability within there enables the groups and individual roles to set their own objectives within their projects, to decide individual roles and responsibilities, to elect their own reporting representative in the community, and to invite additional team members, remove team members, and manage their own budget allocation and participate in community decisions regarding the allocation of funds for other pots of money that we have. The community accountability policy is a place where we set out the guidelines for the community to follow. It allows us to keep on course and manage the reputational risk to the CoLab. And having community accountability enables any CoLab member to have access to funded assets such as research, documents, events, training that are produced through the project, but also to review the reports and the accounts from the funded projects and to ask clarifying questions about the funded projects.
I would say it's a minimum viable sociocracy. We try to not overdo it. We just use patterns that make sense in our context, and we don't want to add more complications than it's needed. So I would say we use sociocracy in a light way. Well, decision making is always very much linked to the domains. So within the CoLab, different circles have a different domains, different areas they work on. So I would say that within a domain, a circle or a project is pretty much autonomous or semi-autonomous, because if there is a decision to be made that concerns everybody in CoLab, then all the circles need to give their consent to that particular decision. Well, I would say on one hand, everyone, because again, if it concerns everybody, then all the circles are invited to give their consent. On the other hand, I would say people that do stuff decide. So active contributors decide. So it's a kind of a emergent property of the system. Those people that do stuff, they decide.
So in sociocracy, you would find four distinct elements like formation of circles, the different connectors which are like the adapters between the circles, and also the decision making process, and the feedback, be it be consent, proposal consent process, all the decision, like how do we get feedback, how are we listening to the feedback. So these are the essential elements of sociocracy. Basic sociocratic principles are: one, empiricism, which is not making assumptions and testing your assumptions through different experiments; consent, which is raising objections and improving agreements; equivalence is involving everybody. We talk about this inclusive principle, right? And then being effective is using your time, energy, and resources in a purposeful manner, like in a goal that you are all working towards; and transparency, record and share, which matters; accountability, we all know our accountability agreements, right? And the continuous improvement, constantly looking and reflecting back. What applies to CoLab is, I would say, everything, right? I have many examples of how we test our assumptions. What is the impact? Monitoring, evaluation, and impact. That's, you're testing your assumption. Like, you go in with, this is what we want to do, these objectives, and at every regular interval, you look at them. So that's working for our CoLab. We have a consent process, raising objections and improving our agreements. If you see how we hire for our roles, inclusion, which is the equivalence, right? Like, people don't decide for you. You will be part of the decision making process if that influences you. You are invited to the table. Effectiveness, I know when I can choose, like the way that you choose your projects, right? The way that you apply for the role that you want to do. There is set expectations. There is enough room to be flexible for you to share your time and energy and different resources. Being transparent is essentially all the recordings, our next cloud, where we record all the happenings of our meeting notes, of what we are arriving at, everything intensely is being recorded there, and it's shared. There are agreements that we say yes to, and then we show up, like our core, the forums, quarterly forums. We just had one recently, and if you cannot, you submit a notice of absence. Again, you are responsible, and you do respond to what is being asked in the organization or in the ecosystem.